Wholesale markets. The FCA original proposal indicated the wholesale markets were out of scope of the new duty, but the drafting of the proposed rules and the non-handbook guidance created ambiguity around the precise impact on wholesale firms, in particular where they could influence material aspects of the design or distribution of retail products or where they are part of distribution chain with the retail customer at the end. Following feedback from the industry, an attempt has been made to clarify the impact on wholesale firms. There is now some clarification around roles and distribution chains explored further below, and what will count as having a material influence on retail outcomes in that regard. The FCA has also provided specific examples of exclusion from the scope of the duty in its non-handbook guidance. These include the manufacture of products or services only for wholesale purposes, or activities relating to non-retail financial instruments. A number of important clarification has been included about how responsibility should be divided within a distribution chain. A number of important clarifications have been included about how responsibility should be divided. The final guidance now repeatedly references firms responsible in respect of the duty being determined by the reference to their ability to determine or materially influence the end customer's outcomes. What this phrase means will be heavily dependent on the context in which it is being considered, and the general rule will be that each firm will only be liable for its own acts or omissions. The only expectation to this should be where regulatory or contractual requirements change the position. The FCA became aware that another firm in the distribution chain is not or may not be complying with the duty, and other firms in a distribution chain if it thinks they have caused or contributed to harm to retail customers. For example, more examples have been included in the final guidance to clarify how the duty will apply to firms in the distribution chain. The FCA has maintained the view that managers and depositories of EEA, UCITs and EAIFs under the temporary marketing permissions regime will only be subject to the duty in respect of the communication and approval of marketing communications. Accordingly, they will not be subject to the product and services of the price and value outcomes, but they will need to comply with the consumer understanding and consumer support outcomes to the extent relevant to the marketing communications. Listed investment companies including investment trusts remain with the scope of products for the purposes of the duty. UK firms will therefore be bound by the duty in respect of such investment companies where they determine. The FCA has, however, acknowledged that the structure of investment companies firms need only reasonably practicable comply with the duty with the context of their role. For example, by discussing any concern it has with the board of the investment company, even if the firm cannot compel with any change on the price and value outcome specifically, something that is particularly problematic in the case the observation made above in the relation to the UK distributors having to take all reasonable steps to comply. पूरे 4 मिनट होना फिर मजा है.